Hello, Instituto friends and family. Welcome to the Praxis in Action resource library. Today, we'll be going over engaging the youth online for VR and GOTV as a part of our Ready to Scale series. I hope you're excited because I'm excited. Let's get into it. So before we get started, I've got to do some introductions. This is our lovely marketing and communications team. That's myself in the middle. My name is Trinity. I'll be your facilitator for today. It's amazing that y'all dropped in, and I hope today is well and y'all enjoyed today's resources. To the left, we have Tanya Betancourt Alcazar, our marketing and comms coordinator, pronouns she, her. You might have received some of her weekly newsletters. You might have seen her popping in on our social media here and there. And we have Vianey de Anda, our marketing and comms manager, she, her pronouns. Now, if this is your first time stopping by Instituto or our Praxis in Action resource library, welcome. I'm so glad to have you. A little bit about Instituto is that we build sustained political power with low-income communities and communities of color here in Arizona. And we do this by a few ways, by providing incubation and acceleration and capacity building for individuals and organizations. Now, what the heck is incubation and acceleration and capacity building? Well, we do this through a few ways. We have trainings like this today. We also have our one-on-one coaching we provide to cultivate leadership and build political capacity. We also have our fellowships. You might have heard or be familiar with our Monzone Fellowship, where we offer in-depth learning experiences and trainings for emerging leaders. And then we have our resource library where you happen to stumble across this video. And we also have worksheets and amazing resources here on the library for you to explore. So I highly suggest tapping into the resources. They're free. And why are we doing this? Well, by 2027, Arizona will actually become a majority people of color state. But just because our representation increases does not mean that is going to grow in political power as well. So we want to make sure that we're governing, we're voting, we're sharing their knowledge and the resources, and all the work we do here at Instituto is to make sure our communities are represented, they have political power, they have a say, and have resources. That's a little bit about us. So our objectives for today's training will be reviewing your organization's current social media base to identify the gaps to reach a younger audience. And mind you, there'll be plenty of opportunities throughout today's training to pause the recording, come back to it. I highly recommend grabbing a journal. Maybe you want to do your Google Docs, whatever you want to do to take notes and do your activities. I highly suggest. And then after that, we'll be defining the various tactics designed to engage young audiences on social media. Then we'll go into a little bit of how to use meta ads to directly target young audiences. Then we're going to explore some types of social media content that can be applied to engage young audiences. Sound good? I hope so. So before we even get into it, why do we get out the vote? Why is it even important? I'll give you a second to just think about it. Now that you're back, we know that young people reflect our diverse communities. Though, as I mentioned, Arizona will become a majority people of color state by 2027, it's actually estimated that by 2025, 50% of 14 to 24-year-olds will be people of color. And we know that young people turn out to the polls. I think there's a lot of misconception like young people don't vote, young people aren't interested in voting, but the data that we have here totally mitigates that. Young people do show up to the polls. 50% of young people say that they are extremely likely to vote in 2024. And another 15% say they're fairly likely to cast a ballot in the election. Now, these numbers might be different depending on when you're watching this, but as of 2024, this is kind of the landscape of what we're going to be looking at. We also know that young people care and want to center issue-based organizing. So this is a really important tool to kind of implement, if you haven't already, when talking about voting and engaging young voters. Now, this is on a national scale as of 2022. So if your organization happens to be doing some more research with young people, these numbers might be a little different for you, depending on your demographic. But nationwide, 18 to 29-year-olds here, they care about inflation, gas prices, abortion, and reproductive health care. They care about jobs that have a living wage, climate change. The list goes on. But this is really to say that young people do care about a political process and they do care about issue-based organizing. So if you have the misconception in your head already that it's really hard to engage young people, do not worry about that because young people do care and they do show up. Now, we also know that young people face barriers to voting, which is also why it's extremely important to make sure that we're getting out the youth vote. In the 2022 midterm election, 21% of youth who did not vote said that they either didn't have enough information about the candidates or they literally just didn't know where to vote. So there is a barrier to access to information. We also know that 9% said they didn't know how to register to vote. So there's a lack of kind of knowing where to find this information, where to vote, who to vote for, possibly why should they be voting, and even getting them to register to vote. Maybe they don't have the right IDs. They don't know that they can do it online. They think maybe I got to go in person. I got to find a canvasser. We know that there are so many ways that someone can be registered to vote, but still, even with that, 9% said they still didn't know how to register to vote. So I would highly consider that when you are engaging with young people. As well as 54% of youth that were contacted. Um, oh, my bad. only, okay, keyword is only here. 50% of youth were contacted by any type of political party or organization. So a little bit more than half of young people were contacted. What about the rest? And that number was actually lower for youth without college experience. They were less likely to be contacted. So there's a little bit of classism in that intersectionality of being young and lacking resources. And overall here, when thinking about that, the lack of outreach from campaigns and organizations leaves so many votes on the table. Imagine someone who's just turned 18, not only do they not know where to vote, they don't know who to vote for, they don't know how to register, and no organization contacted them about if they're registered to vote or if they have a plan to vote. That is leaving so many votes on the table. So yeah, this is why we center the youth vote. Now, getting into our objectives, hopefully you are feeling a little bit more grounded in the space today. We're going to be reviewing your organization's current social media base and identify the gaps to reach a younger audience. Let's get into it. Step number 1, review your organization's social media insights and analytics. So here we have an example from Instituto's Instagram looking at our top age ranges, but you might be using Meta, Instagram, Hootsuite later. You might be looking at a couple different platforms, and we'll have time for you to pause the video in just a little bit and do your own assessment. But here's something that you might kind of be looking at here. Step 2, analyzing the diversity of your organization's base. And you'll be able to segment your audience by age and assess the gaps in reaching your younger audiences. And you'll be able to kind of isolate and analyze the segments representing teenagers or young adults, whatever your targeted age range is. On the left here, this is Instituto's Instagram demographics. Our top age ranges are 25 to 34, and that makes up 43% of our audience, and following that is 35 to 44-year-olds. Now, we don't directly do youth outreach. We do have experimented with targeted posts to young people specifically that I'll share a little bit more about towards the end of the presentation. But this makes sense for us. We have a lot of our Monzon fellows, a lot of partner organizations, people who are already heavily in the political process or the civic engagement process. So this might look a lot different for you, but just to kind of provide an example of something that you might be looking at for your organization. Now, I mentioned gap, right? We're looking at a gap in our youth audience engagement. So what is a gap? A gap is the area where your content is not meeting your goals, right? Or your audience expectations or your standards. And you're able to measure your reach and engagement. So identifying how much of your page audience is 18 to 25. We're using 18 here in most examples just because social media, mostly of social media platforms, 18 is the kind of youngest age that you're able to look at when it comes to your analytics. But kind of whatever isn't meeting your goal, you kind of really need to make sure you understand what your starting point is. Like if you don't have any youth followers, how you gonna engage the youth, right? So we're kind of gonna be doing this assessment to understand where our starting point is and where you want to get. And that leads us to setting metrics. So first, identify the goal of your VR and GOTV campaign, specifically your social media campaign, and set realistic metrics based on who your audience already is. Like I mentioned for Instituto, we're looking at 25 and up for most of our audience. So we need to be able to set realistic metrics based on that. So here's a couple examples of something that you may set. For example, maybe you want to target 250 people ages 18 to 25 to register to vote through the link in your bio. Or you want to engage 50 people ages 18 to 25 in the comment section to share what encourages them to vote. All of these will have very different tactics, but whatever your metric and your goal is, get very specific. Know how old these people are, know how many people you want to reach, and where you want to reach them. What do you want them to do? Kind of what is their call to action? And if you're looking to just kind of grow your overall audience engagement and your overall youth audience across your platforms, you're going to just want to aim for 50% of your own audience. If your goal is, as an organization, we want to grow our youth audience on our Instagram, kind of shoot for that 50%, which is very doable. As shown in the Instituto example, we're looking at 43% for our majority, our largest age group. So 50% is highly desirable if this is something that you want to do. If you're looking to engage youth for a specific campaign for a specific amount of time, like GLTV season, aim for these specific deliverables, like the examples on the top. And we'll kind of go into it a little bit later, but you'll be able to use meta ads and geo-targeting to reach young people ages 18 and up. We have a short activity for you here, and this is your opportunity to pause the training in just one moment. You'll be able to open your Meta, Instagram, or other content scheduling platform and find the audience tab to identify your current social media base. Look at things like age, gender, location. You should be able to have access to all of those things. Now, if you are at this point and you have a hard time finding your analytics, feel free to email me at Trinity at instituto.io. And from there, you'll be able to email me and I'll be more than happy to hop on a one-on-one call with you and help you kind of look at your analytics from there and set you up. But from here, you're able to pause the video and kind of just assess your analytics and your demographics. I'll give you one moment from there. Now, I hope you pause the video, okay? And I hope you're back. Nice to have you. Thank you so much for being mindful while we're going through this presentation together. Again, if you're having a hard time finding that, no worries, I got you. Just send me an email, trinity@instituto.io, or you can find it on our website and just slide me a message. I got you, friend. Now, we're not going to share it out, obviously. You're at home, I'm at home. But kind of just think about, what does your current social media base look like? What are the demographics? And begin to kind of get those wheels turning to think about, what is your goal in reaching youth audiences online? Think about your metric goal and also your why. Like, why are you doing this? So get those wheels turning as we go through the rest of the presentation. Our second objective for today: define the various tactics designed to engage young audiences on social media. Before we even get into the tactics, we gotta know, where do the young people live? Where do they live online? The highest population of youth engagement across social media. Today, we're gonna be looking at TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and YouTube Shorts. I do like using YouTube Shorts. I know some people don't like YouTube Shorts, and I see why, but I do be on there. Sorry, that's a sidebar. We're also going to be briefly looking at Reddit and Discord. I found these super interesting in my resources, or in my research. So hopefully that kind of sparks some imagination for you all. We won't be going over X or Twitter or Facebook today because they are not the platforms with the highest engagement. So to briefly kind of go over each demographic, quickly looking at TikTok, 47.4% of TikTok users are under 30, and 1 in 4 TikTok users are under 20 years old. So yeah, young people live on TikTok. That's kind of a no-brainer. But TikTok also has more Gen Z users than Instagram. So these are just kind of important things to notice, to kind of have an understanding of as you're trying to curate your content per platform. Because something that might work on TikTok might not work on Instagram. Something that work on Instagram might not work on TikTok, and so forth. As for Instagram, 62% of Instagram users are under the age of 34, and 3 in 5 Instagram users are ages 18 to 34. So a highly dense population of young people are over on Instagram. To briefly talk about YouTube, YouTube is the second most popular social network after Facebook, with an average of 2.5 billion monthly active users. And YouTube Shorts have a higher engagement rate than long videos. So I feel like this is highly important to mention because I don't want to scare you with saying YouTube and you start thinking, oh my gosh, we gotta do some high production videos. It's gotta be this social commentary and all these things that we think of when we think of YouTube videos, right? I'm on YouTube. I'm on the deep side of YouTube. We don't have to be striving for that. YouTube Shorts have a high engagement rate, actually higher than longer YouTube videos. So don't get intimidated by the idea of exploring these new platforms. And at almost 9 times more interactions on average. So it's worth possibly looking into YouTube Shorts as your organization. And 77% of YouTube viewers are ages 12 to 27. Really interesting stuff. Now, Reddit, 44% of Reddit users are ages 18 to 29 years old. And Reddit appeals to a younger demographic, mostly seeking niche communities and discussions on various topics. And this could be a really interesting tool to kind of look into and experiment with for your GOTV campaigns this year. It can be a tool for research-based youth engagement programming if that is something your organization is interested in doing. For example, you can create a subreddit that's like those little community conversations to learn why young people choose to vote or not to vote. You can set up your organization's Reddit and just post community questions and see who answers. If gathering research is something that you're interested in doing, whether to create your own reports or to just inform your organizing a little bit more. And you can, from there, set your metrics for engagement. For Discord, 73% of Discord users are ages 16 to 34. And the really, really exciting thing about Discord is that it's a little bit different than other social media platforms. Maybe it's not really social media. I guess it is because you're being social and you like talk to people, but I digress. You unlike social other platforms where the minimum age is 18, Discord's actually 16. So if you're looking to engage younger people who may not be eligible to vote just yet and start to kind of engage them in the political conversation, the voting conversation, share some voter education, this could be a really, really cool tool to do that. And so users below 13 are not allowed to sign up, but most servers you're able to kind of set your own metrics or your own audience. That's what I'm saying, your own audience limitations. So you can choose, maybe you just want 16 and up, or maybe you just want 18 and up, or 14 and up. You're able to choose that yourself as a Discord moderator. And Discord specifically is popular for real-time communication and collaboration. So creating a Discord server for your community to facilitate discussions, promote your organization's events, and build a loyal following among younger communities, since you're able to really be a human. Unlike other social media platforms, you kind of just this post, you're like this very curated, designed thing. But on Discord, you can just be a human. So, for example, you could share election updates, civic engagement opportunities, and a safe place for voting questions and knowledge sharing, if that is something that you want to use as a tactic to begin to engage young voters. And why did we just spend 10 minutes talking about different social media platforms? Well, it's important to understand the needs of your social media campaign because like I said, not everything's going to work everywhere. And kind of exploring and understanding what makes each platform unique is really going to be able to have lead you to the most successful campaign that you're able to run, right? You want to be able to curate content to each platform best suitable to achieve your goals. So I hope y'all found some of those things really interesting. Now, a couple just little things to think about. What types of content do you think appeals to youth online? And how do you think content tailored to younger audiences would differ from older audiences? I'll give you a second to think and pause the video if you like. And you're back. If you're not pausing the video, maybe it's a little awkward, but it's just you and me here. This is a one-on-one conversation. So I'm chilling and I'm vibing, and I hope you are too. But just to get the wheels turning, some tactics that you might have thought about are memes. We know that we love a memeable moments. We love our trends as well, kind of using both viral popular themes, audios, and pop culture references tend to work well on social media across the board. You can also kind of look into some giveaways and incentives if you are maybe hosting some type of community education event. You could incentivize your audience by providing them a free book, a free gift card, or something like that as kind of like a giveaway, if your goal is to kind of get more young people in. They want free stuff, free food, free pizza, anything. Something you can also look into is influencers and micro influencers. The slight differentiation between an influencer and a micro influencer is that an influencer tends to have a lot more followers, and that comes with a higher budget. So if you are interested in using influencers and micro influencers who are usually more hyper local focused, maybe a little bit less followers, but also more flexible when it comes to budget, influencer campaigns are usually really successful and also really fun and exciting because your faves, your local faves are posting voter content, but also you want to make sure that you have an awareness of your organization's budget before kind of getting into that. And the last thing or last tactic you can kind of start to explore is user generated content. You could do this by hosting photo contests or challenges, hashtag campaigns to kind of just inspire that creativity and foster community engagement. So what happens is you have maybe it's like hashtag why I vote. Now, hashtags maybe like are a very millennial thing. I don't know, but just as an example, maybe you're gonna do hashtag why I vote. And you're getting a kind of like you put a call to community to share the hashtag and make a video explaining why they vote. Kind of they're promoting the own content themselves and circulating kind of that messaging themselves. So that's also something to look into. Some content and best practices. We know that raw, candid, short form videos work well on social media. Just showcase what makes your organization authentic and unique and fun and different. Kind of convince them why that sets you apart, if your goal is like high engagement on social media. Um, Again, don't get intimidated thinking that everything has to be super high production. Just raw, candid video showcasing your organization tends to do really well. Also, embrace design and visually appealing content. Okay, we love an aesthetic, we love a core, we love a niche. So really, just embrace design. I'm no stranger to Canva, so kind of keep that in mind while designing your GOTV content. They don't want to look at anything boring. Put simply, right? You're also wanting to generate content that meets the now, meets the moment. You want it to be relevant. Because while we're kind of thinking on the topic of trends and trending audios and memes, if that's something that you want to implement as a tactic to engage young people, it's important to meet the now. It just really is. And also making sure that messaging is relatable and you have storytelling geared towards younger audiences. I hope you're following. A few more. It's kind of just explore social media platforms and be adaptable. Like I really was interested in the Discord and the Reddit. Maybe that's something that your organization could really find useful and beneficial. So you don't got to be everywhere all at once, but do be open minded to exploring different platforms as kind of social media landscape is constantly shifting and new apps are coming out all the time. You don't got to be on them all, but just be open to them. You also want to understand the values of your desired audience. So if you're looking to engage 18 to 24-year-olds, being on these platforms will also kind of give you a better understanding of their desired audience or their desired values. Also, hearing stories from the people who look like them is also really important. So that will also kind of allow you to be more values aligned. And lastly, you want to craft engaging messaging that elicits action. That's highly important. We're not just posting things to post them. We want to register them to vote. You want them to engage in your comment section. You want them to join your Discord or fill out your survey. Kind of just be clear about what they need to do. And a little activity for you to pause the video and come back to. We're going to look at our who, what, why, and when. So who is our audience? What is their interests? How old are they? Where do they live? Kind of, do they live in Maryville? Do they live in Glendale? Do they live in South Phoenix? Do they live in Yuma? What? What do you want them to do? What is their call to action? Is that to register to vote? Kind of thinking about our organization campaign goals. Do you want to register to vote 250 18-year-olds this year? Is that the goal? What do you want them to do? You just want to make sure you're clear, kind of get those wheels turning. Do you want them to sign a petition, call their elected officials? And then why? So this is your goal for your youth outreach. And of course, this needs to be aligned with your organization's mission and vision. And then when, kind of start to brainstorm a timeline. If publishing ads and creating content is something you want to do, kind of when do you want to do that by? We did already pass the 2024 midterm election, but what can they look forward to November? Kind of, do you want, all right, what are you racing towards, just get clear about your timeline here. And I'll give you a few minutes to work on this, pause the presentation as desired, and come back in just a moment. I'll see you soon. Welcome back. Hope you didn't miss me too much. Well, let's keep it moving. Thank you for engaging in this brainstorm activity and being such an active participant while I'm at home and you're at home. It means a lot. And I hope this is beneficial for you. Now, we can't share it out, unfortunately, but you can just kind of look over your notes, kind of reflect back on what you just wrote. What did you identify for your who? What was your call to action? What's your organization's goal for your youth voter outreach? And when will your voter outreach take place? That moves us into our third objective, explore the types of social media content that can be applied to engage young audiences. As a reminder, something kind of we went over with our tactics, we got memes, we got trends with the trending audios, pop culture references, we got giveaway incentives, we got influencers, micro influencers, user generated content. Now, I won't be having an example of each of these, but I figured it doesn't hurt to just go over a couple. And our first one here is from Amnesty International. And I want you to see if you can identify what tactics they used.
Ballot initiatives, of course. I met up with Amnesty International USA in my hometown of Tucson, Arizona for their abortion rights youth training with Instituto and Arizona Students Association. If you couldn't make it, stay tuned to the end for how you can get involved. Can you tell me your name? What do you do and where are we? Carla Gonzalez Garcia, Chief Hers Ella. I am the director of the Gender, Sexuality and Identity Program for Amnesty International USA. We're talking today with our youth, with our young people about the ability to make decisions for ourselves, for our bodies. We were talking about abortion, the campaign that is happening right now to collect signatures to be on the ballot this November to protect through an amendment, a constitutional amendment, abortion in the state. What would your top 3 takeaways be from today's training? 1, learn your history, making sure that you know where you come from. They can take away anything from you, but they can't take away your story and your history. So the second one, I would say, organize, making sure that you are building relationship with people so you can motivate them to take action. Third one, share your stories. That's how we move people. I want to play a little this or that game. Organizing 101, meeting, coffee or cocktails. I don't get it. As long as they're having conversations, behind the scenes or on the stage. Behind the scenes. Door knocking or phone banking? Phone banking. When you're telling your story, write it all down or from memory? Oh, I will have you a third answer from the heart. Oh, that's the right answer. From the paper? No. From the brain? No. From the heart. I mean, that's how it works because you want to make sure that people feels you. Yes, you might have like some type of outline. At the end of the day, they are going to connect with your stories from the heart.
Now, we don't have to go through the whole entire video together, but I hope that gave you a good idea. And if you were sneaky enough and kind of took a peek at the caption, you might have identified that the tactic they are using is, can I get a drum roll? Was a micro influencer. Now the influencer's name is Deja Fox. She was an attendee at one of our trainings we had surrounded around the ballot initiative and abortion, reproductive rights. So yeah, just a really fun and engaging way to kind of get this conversation. And it's also a really great way of talking about these tough conversations that some people might not be used to showing up on their feeds, but because you have access to someone with a large following, you are able to reach a range of people and people that you might not have otherwise engaged in. So amazing, amazing work from Deja. And congratulations if you got that right. You get a gold star, if I had a gold star. Now just a quick little second tactic here. This is an example from the Instituto Instagram, and it says, bring a loved one to our abortion rights training and be entered into a $35 gift card raffle. Now, what tactic did they use? Can I get a drum roll, please? A giveaway incentive, obviously. And we had amazing turnout for this event in Tucson. So yeah, super, super cool. Or actually, I believe this one was in Phoenix, but we had an amazing turnout. So this is another amazing tactic that you can get to engage young people, as you see some of their lovely faces right there. Now, a quick brainstorm for yourself. What other ideas do you suggest for tactics, and have they worked? Kind of what can you share about that with your team? Not me, but your team. And what ideas do you want to try? Did you see anything in today's presentation that you want to try, or what other things come to mind? Kind of just journal them down. You can also pause the video here. Well, I hope you had some time to think about this or journal them down for later. Thanks, y'all, for participating. We're almost done. And very quickly going into our fourth objective before we close out today is understand how to use meta ads to directly target young audiences. Now, again, if you want more in-depth one-on-one support with this, please shoot me an email at trinity@instituto.io, and I'm more than glad to be able to support you. Just a quick assessment of kind of what you might be expecting. Before you kind of get into your meta ads and boosting your VRGO TV outreach, you want to understand your organization's budget, because publishing ads is not free now. You might only need $5, or based on your goals, you might need $200. Again, the more you put into it, the more you'll reach and the more you might see those results. But again, just as I mentioned, using meta ads as only for 18 and up, which is the voting age. But again, if you're interested in engaging more other younger people who may not be eligible to vote, things like Discord or Reddit might be appropriate as well. But here you can see a screenshot on your left for geo-targeting. Here you're able to kind of set your age range, your gender. There are only two options, or I guess there is three options. I'm sorry. But from there, you're able to set kind of the audience that you want to target, as well as where they live. So kind of a method you're able to do there is identify some school districts or popular areas that young people go. This could be the malls, the roller skating rinks, youth centers, libraries. All these could be really helpful when thinking about which areas you want to target. And from there, you'll be able to kind of view and monitor your ad performance and call to action. So if you do plan to attach a link to your ad, you could say, here's the link to register to vote. And kind of when you publish your ad, see how many people are clicking your link. And also here you might see kind of in this screenshot, if you're able to see the area that I'm circling here, based on your budget, you're able to see how many folks that you'd be reaching daily based on how much money you put in. So really, oopsie, sorry folks. So really the world is your oyster. It takes a lot to even really get signed up for meta ads if your organization is not already verified, because it's a tedious verification process that you have to go to be able to get approved. You'll likely need an ID, a valid ID. as well as a valid address that they're able to send you mail to, because from there they'll send you like this QR code. They make it a very tedious and inaccessible process, but if you do want to do some targeted ads, it's specifically for your GOTV season. As we're getting closer and closer to November, you want to do this as soon as you can, because yeah, they're going to send you some mail. You're going to need all these types of things. So kind of get this process started sooner rather than later. And again, I'm more than glad to support you all more in depth. Just a brief overview of what we talked about today. We reviewed your organization's current social media base to identify the gaps in reaching a younger audience. We defined the various tactics designed to engage young audiences on social media. We briefly went into meta ads and began to explore the social media content that can be applied to engage young audiences. Now, a couple of offerings for 2024, if you're interested in more from Instituto, we have our trainings and events, as well as just offering direct support. So if you are like, I don't got time for trainings and events, I just need the thing to be done. I just need help with this thing real quick. For example, the meta ads or literally anything. We have a very amazing, friendly, and skilled team here at Instituto that can support you with anything. Our content department can help you with your flyering, your Canva, your email newsletter support, your meta verification. We have an amazing data team, and just everyone across the board is really skilled and expertise. So if you have something that you need support with, I promise you, there is an Instituto member that can help you get the job done quick and efficiently. We also have our Harvest program, which is our job board, our talent database. You could kind of look into our candidate and staff training series did pass, but it is on our Praxis and Action resource library here that you're viewing this video on. So you can kind of go through and check everything out here that this platform has to offer. Again, this training is a part of our Ready to Skill series. And yeah, that's a little bit about what we're offering for this year. So thank you so much for joining. It's been a pleasure. I hope we got some work done. We got some giggles in between, and we are feeling prepped and ready to engage young people this VR NGO TV season. National Voter Registration Day is right around the corner. So hit them schools, hit them school districts, everything that you can. And I hope to see y'all very soon. Again, my name is Trinity Miracle. It's been a pleasure to be your facilitator for today. And stay hydrated. Shoot me an email at trinity@instituto.io. Sorry, I was trying to say my Gmail. That's my personal. Don't be hitting me up on there. But I'll see y'all very soon at a training or community event. Bye.